Welcome students to Selective High School Placement Trial Test. We are looking at Power Thinking Skills Trial Test 28 today. Now question 3 is a bit of a loaded question. I have to say this is quite hard to figure out in the short amount of time provided, but these kind of questions do sometimes pop up. Okay, and the reason being they are trying to test your time management skills and make sure that you aren't stuck here for a long period of time, making you miss the easier questions at the end. So for questions like this, as soon as you look at it, if you feel like it's too much working, I would make an educated guess and move on, okay? But I'm going to kind of show you how to solve this out. So we have 4 different types of fuel, and we want to think about which one is the cheapest and which one's going to be the most expensive. I've given you the actual solutions down here. I'm just going to work out one of them so you guys can see how to work it out. Let's try for unleaded 98. We find where unleaded 98 is, and it's here. We can drive 250 kilometers with a full tank of unleaded 98. So how many tanks will I need if I have 750 kilometers to travel? Well, that's obviously going to be 750 divided by 250, and you get 3 tanks as your answer. Now we know that each tank has a maximum of 10 liters, so we need 30 liters then. Okay, 10 times 3, and you have to times that by the cost per liter, and it's here, 165. And when you, my decimal should be in between the 1 and the 6. And when you figure it out, you will get 49.50. And you're going to do it for the rest of them, and make sure you're working out is very neat if you're going to do it, because you won't be able to tell which one's which if it's all kind of clumped up somewhere. So you can see here, unleaded 95 is the cheapest, and the most expensive is unleaded 91. Again, don't get those two mixed up, okay? Make sure to write it properly so you know. And that's why the answer is D. Question 6, we want to figure out what the missing character is here. I first want you to see that these two numbers are always divisible by each other, okay? And when you divide it, what do you get? You get 28 here. What about here? You get 9, okay? So there's 7, okay? And here you get 8. So what is the relationship between this number and that top number here? It's times 2, isn't it? So you want to times this by 2 to get that question mark, and you get 16 as your answer, which is option A. Right, 11. We have the numbers 40 and 12. We want to find the factors within all the numbers. I know it says multiples and it's easy to be confused, but remember multiples are when it's increasing, okay? So multiples of 3 would be 3, 6, 9, 12, blah, blah, blah. But if you say factors, it's the numbers that are inside, okay? So for 40, we'll have 1 and 40, 2 and 20, we have 4 and 8, 4 and 10, and then 5 and 8. Okay, so notice how I started from the ends, the extremes, and I built inwards. That's what you do. And the same for 12. Okay, 12 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. And what you want to do is add all of these together, and you will get the number 118. And the option D is answer. So no factors here. So apologies for that. But you guys should kind of notice that, because if they ask you to find multiples of something, okay, then it's infinity. Okay, you can go forever and forever and ever. Whereas factors, it's limited. Okay, 12. In the question below, we have a statement followed by 3 assumptions numbered 1, 2, and 3. Decide which assumptions are implicit in the statement and choose your answer accordingly. Implicit comes from the word imply or implied. okay, which means something that is assumed, okay, or it's kind of part integrated into the statement. The statement states, I wanted a 2-bedroom flat in the court area for immediate possession, and it's in an advertisement. So let's see if number 1 is implicit. Flats available in the court area. I would say this is implicit, or else they would not be advertising in the court area if there were absolutely no flats available. Okay? And another one, some people respond to this advertisement. That is also kind of implicit. It can be assumed because, first of all, it's an ad. Ads are meant for consumption. Ads are meant for people to respond to and to see. And also, immediate possession, I wanted, the way that she's stating, the person stating it makes it sound like it's a regular occurrence, okay? It's happening often, and that this kind of situation is not uncommon. So number 2 is also implicit. Number 3, it is practice to give such an advertisement, also implicit. Practice here just means common, okay? It is common practice, okay? It is usual, normal. Like I said before, the way that the person's speaking, the tone of voice is definitely a very casual, common tone. So number 3 is also correct. So the answer is A. Okay, so we want to figure out whose reasoning is correct. So the main idea is in that box. The highlight opal is a gemstone which can be only mined using a diamond drill. In Queensland, highlight opals can only appear more than 300 meters underground. Now, this is something that you really need to wrap your head around when solving questions like this. Just because one direction is true doesn't mean that the reverse is true or that everything in that category is true. It's like saying this. Just because chocolate is considered a lolly or a snack or a sweet doesn't mean that all sweets and snacks and lollies are chocolate made or chocolate based. Okay, we know that is true in terms of just daily life. Same as here, okay? Just because the highlight opal can only be mined using a diamond drill does not mean everything that's mined with a diamond drill is a highlight opal. And same as the second statement, just because in Queensland they can only appear more than 300 meters underground does not mean every gemstone that appears, or anything for that matter of fact, anything that appears more than 300 meters underground is a highlight opal in Queensland. I hope that makes sense, okay? That's something you need to wrap your head around. So let's look at Victoria's statement. This is not a highlight opal because although it was mined with the diamond drill more than 300 meters underground, it was not found in Queensland. Victoria is false. She says that it is not a highlight opal. We cannot be sure that it's not, because the only information provided is about Queensland, in Queensland. We don't know about things that are not found in Queensland. There might possibly be highlight opals in other states or even other countries. Okay, so Victoria is incorrect. Ching said, if an opal was mined in Queensland more than 300 meters underground using diamond drills, then it must be a highlight opal. Like I said before, must be, no, it doesn't have to be. Just because highlight opals can only be farmed in that way in Queensland does not mean everything farmed that way is a highlight opal. So neither are true. Question 21. So remember, it was Saturday on 17th of December 1982. What will be the day on 27th of December 1984? We have to be careful here because every even year we have to think about the possibility of being a leap year. Remember, leap years are divisible by 4. Okay, so this is actually a leap year here, 1984. So remember, they have 366 days, okay, whereas a normal year only has 365. In a normal year, let's write this down. In a normal year, okay, so the last day of the year is the same as the first day. in terms of the date. Okay, so for example, if the first day was, e.g., the last day was a Friday, okay, then the first day of the year is also a Friday. So that means that the next day will be a Saturday. Okay, so think about it like the 31st of December goes to the 1st of Jan. Now for leap years, it's a little bit different. Okay, if the first day of the year was a Friday, then the last day of the year, okay, would be a Friday. So what I mean by the normal day, the first, yeah, let's write it here. So this might be a bit confusing. So we have 1st of Jan. So imagine this is like 2020, and this is 2021. Okay, so if the first day of the year is 1st of Jan, and this is a Friday, then it's the same as the 31st of Jan, which is also a Friday. That's what I mean by the same. So then the 1st of Jan in the next year would be a Saturday. Okay, so for leap year, 1st of Jan in 2020, for example, okay, yeah, I'll just write those years, but it's arbitrary, okay, because the leap years might happen sometime else. But yeah, 1st day of Jan is a Friday. Then the first day of the next year, 2021, is a Saturday. You plus 1. Okay. Sorry, I'm confusing myself here as well. Let's read this carefully. So the first day of Jan is a Friday on this first year. Okay. Then the last day of the year, so then the 31st of December would be a Saturday. Okay, so it's we aren't going from Friday to Friday, we're going from Friday to Saturday here. And then the 1st of January would be a Sunday, because you're plussing 1. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So let's figure it out now. So we're going from 17th of December 1982, and this is Saturday. Okay, so that means that the 17th of December 1983 would be a Sunday, because remember our move, okay, we're going from Friday to Saturday here. And then our 17th of December on 1984, it would be a Tuesday. Why? Because we plus 2 here from Friday to Sunday, whereas here we just plus 1. Okay, so now we want to get 27th of December. 27th of December, we plus 10 days. Tuesday plus 7 days is Tuesday, and you add 3 days to Tuesday, and you get Friday. So the final answer for 27th is Friday. A little bit of a slip up there, my apologies, but hopefully that makes sense. 28, again, finding the implicit assumption. So the statement is that I want to present a book on yoga techniques to Ken on his birthday. A tells that to B. What are the assumptions? The first one, A will be invited by Ken on his birthday. So this one isn't quite clear, okay? We can't exactly tell, but since we are presenting something, presenting a book, okay, it means to gift, okay, and it also means to kind of show him. So that usually happens when there is a celebration going on to which A would be invited to. So 1 can be implied. Now number 2, the person to whom the book is to be presented is not keeping good health. So this one you can't really assume. Yoga techniques, just because we're buying a book on it for Ken, we cannot assume that he is not healthy or not keeping up with his well-being and health. It might be a supplement, okay, might be an addition onto his original healthy routine. So number 2 is not implied. Number 3, book is an acceptable gift on his birthday. This one is implied, okay, because the person telling A is actually telling someone that they're about to present a book. If giving a book was not acceptable, then A might have told B about this in a more embarrassed or frustrated or sad tone. There might be some kind of tone to it, but she's speaking or he's speaking in a very casual, direct way. So number 2 is not assumed, so 1 and 3 only, and B is therefore your answer. Oh no, C. I got the answer right, but I circled the wrong one. C. 30. Which statement weakens Tally's argument? Let's find her argument. Her argument is that she believes that advertising on children's TV channels is bad because it could encourage impulsive spending and discourages healthy spending habits for children. Now the answer here is actually A. Most children do not have access to any income, i.e. money. If you don't have access to money, there is no means of encouraging, healthy, unhealthy spending habits. If you don't have any money to spend in the first place, you cannot practice that unhealthy spending habit and make a habit out of it. So first of all, that is good. That is linked. The second thing, encourage impulsive spending. Again, impulsive means just kind of on the whim, not really thought out. You can't do that if you don't have money in the first place. You might want to do it, but you can't actually carry it out. So A is your answer. Which shape on the right is most similar to the shape on the left? The answer is C. All of them have sticks, and you can't rely on the fill because the two shapes have different fill in general. So the only thing you can rely on is that top head, and they're both triangles. So you know that has to be consistent, so that's why C is your answer, because even though it has a different fill, it has that triangle element. And very last question, find one of the followings that can be true. So let's highlight the main idea again. Because they're not native to Australia, the introduction of cane toads have meant that native Australian animals are now endangered as cane toads compete for their food. So, which one kind of summarizes that and kind of is true because of that statement? The answer is D. Cane toads have a very detrimental or negative impact on Australian wildlife. Directly links to the native Australian animals, detrimental impact caused them to be endangered and also competes for their food. So it's a very, very good summary of that, and it's one that is true. A, B, and C are all assumptions, and we cannot confirm they are true unless we have extra evidence, which we don't have. So to conclude, we are going to do some takeaways. The first one I'm going to talk about is for number patterns. Please use the layout of the number pattern, whether it could be a grid or a cross or bubbles, or triangle, whatever the layout is, to infer and get a clue about what the rule is. Is it going diagonal? Is it going horizontal? Is it going around in a circle? Whatever it is, the layout and the format of the pattern will really, really help you. I emphasize that every time. Please listen to that tip and advice and try and use it for the next one. Think really hard about how the things are organized and what that means for the rule and the pattern. For another takeaway, I have a good one. We can talk about long questions, or hard questions. These are placed near the front of the test, to distract you and test your time management skills. If you feel like it's too much work and you don't have time, make an educated guess and move on. sometimes they're actually trying to trick you and make you fall for that trap of staying on that question for ages and ages and not being able to finish the easy ones later. Okay, they will test you on things like that. So be very conscious and mindful. Okay, you can always come back later. Okay, on that note, make sure to use proper exam technique. Okay, so mark the questions you aren't sure of and come back later. We should write a educated guess, come back later. So actually when I did the selective test, what I did was I used different markings. Okay, so if I was really not sure, maybe I would do like a star. If I was around 50% sure, I would just do like a square. And if I was around 70-80% sure, but I just wanted to check again, I would do like a circle. And then the second time round, I would do double, triple, quadruple circles around for the ones I didn't know. That way I could save my time, and I also didn't have to go through questions I already knew were correct or were confident with. Okay, so I really recommend you guys to do that as well, because honestly, OC, selective, all of these tests are all about time management. And if you have the smartest brain in the world, but you can't do anything for time management, you're most likely not going to do very well. Okay, so let's get into that practice now. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Until next time, I hope you guys have a lovely week.